Hello, folks. I'm finally back with a firearms review. I know it's been a very long time since I've done one. There's been a lot of things going on in my life in the last few months. And one of the big things is after 27 years in law enforcement, I finally retired. And I am grateful to have been working with the greatest men and women and will miss their camaraderie that I've served with them over the years with people coming and going and promoted and so forth. So I'm dedicating this video to them and I will always keep them in my prayers. I had originally planned to have a different firearm up here, but unfortunately it's not available, so I decided to go a practical route and pick up a firearm that I most needed. I needed something for concealed carry now that I'm into the civilian world at this point. And that firearm is going to be a P-01. Now the P-01 is nothing new. It's been around for a very long time, and there's been a lot of reviews out there. So I'm not going to try to bore you with a lot of details about this firearm. You know what normally comes in with the firearm itself. You see the firearm itself, and let me show you that it is safety checked. It's empty magazine, and let me try to show you that the chamber is empty. You can see in here it is empty. I wanted to show you this particular firearm, and I'll just put this in here for effect. It normally comes with your usual tools and so forth that comes with it, and extra magazine. And I will be back to let you know more about it after I get rid of some of this stuff on the table. One of my favorite features about this firearm is with any CZ firearm, and not only the instruction booklet, but it comes with this handy chart that shows you how the targeting was done with this. They take 5 shots with the black dot over here. That's going to be your main point of impact, and the bullet impact is with the regular circles. And that was usually shot at a rate of somewhere between, I believe, it's somewhere in like 25 meters. If I'm correct on that, I might be reading this wrong. But that's one of the things that excites me with when it comes with CZ sends these out. So it's a big thing to me. It's kind of silly, but it is. I chose this firearm because it was a compact firearm and I needed something for concealed carry. It's actually roughly about the size of, everybody knows, the Glock 19. But I actually like this pistol because I'm still kind of like an old school guy, and I like the double action, single action pistols. And I didn't want to go into another striker fire. I wanted something with a little more challenge, something that double action, single action pull does that for me. I wanted also a firearm that was more than 8-round capacity. I've had firearms before with 8-round capacities, and I wanted something above that. And this has a 14-round capacity plus 1 in the chamber. It's also has an aluminum frame with a steel slide, rubber grips, cold hammer forge barrel with a 3.75 inch barrel, 28.1 ounces in weight, which is a good weight. Back before there was polymer, aluminum frames were all the rage back in the late 80s and going into the early 90s, and it was great for concealed carry for me. Now, this firearm is the decocker version. The decocker version, they do have the CZ 75 compact, and it's usually a firearm that's basically cocked and you have to use the safety, which is normally cocked and locked. As you see, you've just pulled the trigger here, and that's your pull. It's very smooth. It's very a nice pull. And it's really nice that you have that smooth pull. It takes a bit of getting used to if you're not used to double action, single action pistols, because that first pull from the double action pull will get you to sometimes throw your shots off, and you have to somewhat practice that. I just cocked the hammer in full cocked, so usually after the double action pull, your slide's going to reciprocate back, and especially when you're charging the pistol for the first time, or if you're finished firing at the range, you just hit your decocker, and what happens is it brings the hammer into the half cock mode, which is what they call a safe hammer drop at that point. So therefore, the hammer is not touching where you can accidentally discharge the firearm. The other internal safety mechanisms in this firearm are also an internal firing pin block as well. The reason why I like this particular decocker, mainly on some of the other models or other firearms, like let's say a Beretta 92 or anything like that, I'm going to show you right here. This is my CZ P-09 Urban. Now, also on the P-07 Urbans or P-09 regulars or their variants, they normally have the decocker in the front. So I would have to bring my thumb in a different position to decock it down. Now this doesn't have the decocker because this has the Omega trigger system in it. I decided to make this a cock and lock pistol at this point. I just have that and you have your safety function. So I decided to do it that way and to have it cocked because I had a problem reaching the decocker because there was basically nothing for me to grip on. So since I'm a 1911 fan, I would rather have something where I could just leave it in cocked and locked position. And if I have to bring it down, then I would have to bring it down safely by depressing the trigger and bringing it down. And as you see, it's in half cock mode in a safe position there. But with the P-01, it's a little different. With the P-01, you rack the slide or whatever the case may be after shooting. Now, if you notice this decocking lever is different. It's reachable because all you have to do is just move your thumb back a little and then just bring it down like that. So what I like about it is it's easier to reach. You could just grab it right here, press down, and you can decock it like that. And that's one of my favorite features about this firearm. Even though I like cock and lock firearms, this lever is one of the best decockers that I've liked on a firearm in a very long time. What this firearm is famous for is it went through the what they call the NATO Trials, and your NATO Trials, which were pretty much they use a lot of different firearms for your NATO pact nations. This firearm actually replaced the CZ-75. Now the CZ-75 is also a very, this is what started this, basically this platform and other CZs. So they replaced it with another CZ, and this is a compact version, so that makes it pretty nice as well. And one of the big reasons why they replaced this firearm with the NATO nations because of its stoppage rate. It only has 5 stoppages out of 15,000 rounds. That is a lot of rounds to go through with only having at least 7 malfunctions or 7 stoppages. Now that is very incredible for a firearm to do that. And also, this was also adopted by the Czech National Police. So they definitely trust this firearm with their life and their performance of their duties. So this is a firearm to be dealt with. It's very, and definitely what you would need in a self-defense situation. One of the things other people like to do with the CZ P-01, excuse me, A lot of people do, the first thing they do is they like to change the sights on these. Now, I have no problem with the sights. It's a very interesting sight picture. A lot of people complain they don't like the how you would see the sights, and a lot of them will replace these with some other sites like Ameriglow, and get other sites where they can have a better sight radius. But I'm from the old school of thought where I don't like to make any changes from on my firearms. So all my firearms, the sights are in their stock configuration, and I just learned how to use these sights. But yes, it's good to have other sights if you have that option. But yes, you can definitely benefit from better sights. But if you are like me and can get used to this, then you're good to go. The other thing that people change on this firearm are the grips. Now, these are similar to the same grips of the SP-01. I tend to like these grips. These are a rubberized grip, and I tend to like the grip. A lot of people will put the VZ grips, and what it does add a different flair for somebody that wants a different style instead of having it look like everybody else's gun. But the VZs are really, really nice grips. I have not decided on whether I'm not going to get those particular grips, because I like these grips. I like the way they feel. So we'll see what happens in the future, whether if I change the sights or whether I change the grips. After all, this is going to be in my carry rotation. Now, this firearm shot very well. I had to learn a few things, and speaking of the sights, I tend to have been shooting low with this, and that's my fault. There's no fault of the gun at all, because these are very accurate pistols. But once I figured out to keep my eye on that front sight and to get that target to blur, I was able to get some pretty decent shots. The target I have here, this is from, I want to have to adjust the camera. This is from a distance of roughly 7 to, I would say 7 to 10 yards. And what I was working on, there were other targets that I had. But like I said earlier, my other targets were, I was getting used to it. So in all honesty, my shots are coming too low. And my problem is that I did not bring the firearm up to my eye. And that's a very important thing when you start shooting. You have to bring the firearm to eye level. When I finally made adjustments, I was able to get this is roughly about 7 to 10 yards. I was able to get them on target from that distance, and then I was working on headshots. Shot a little fast on this, and then eventually, well, here are my flyers and whatnot. But this was a flyer definitely coming out of double action mode, and that was just a shot that I really screwed that up. But eventually, after I settled down, got a little more comfortable, I was able to get my groups tighter. I would have stayed and got my groups tighter. I ran out of ammunition at this point. But the other shots, when I was shooting, were pretty much over here on the target previous to that. And previous to that, the other targets, the shots were low. So I just had to adjust my shooting and also trigger placement, because if I had my finger in the wrong position, I would get my shots going down toward the left, which is not good trigger control. So that was something I had to work on with that firearm. It is a new gun. And I would have to say, with firing from 7 to 10 yards, this isn't bad, because it's really a combat weapon. It's not supposed to be a competition weapon, but it is a good firearm to use in that respect for personal protection. Last but not least, I'm going to let you see a product that I actually got for this firearm. I wanted to get a holster for this. I tried to get it, I used a Kydex holster, but because I appendix carry a lot, the Kydex holster was not going to work out, and it's kind of painful if you're sitting down in a Kydex holster. It's a great holster for when you want to use it on the side in the pants, but it wasn't good. So in the meantime, I could not find a holster for this. So I ordered a leather holster that will be coming through soon. I ordered that from Amazon. But in the meantime, the store clerk offered me this. It is called the sticky holster. Now, I saw this on another website, and I really thought that this was something that was pretty a stupid gimmicky thing. But what you do here is you put it in the holster, and as you see, there's no hooks on here. All you do is put this inside your pants, and what will happen is the texture here adheres to your clothing inner on the inside of your jeans or whatever you're wearing, or the inner part of the body. So this texture really works very well, and it holds the firearm. I really did not think it would work. I did not really think this would work. And I had this on all day, and it was very comfortable. One thing about this, you got to really keep care of this type of holster. Do not machine wash it. Read the instructions very well. And the last thing I want to show you on this video is to show you that it works very well. That's how it works. Usually if you use another holster, the gun is going to fall through. So I really like this holster, and it's pretty interesting that they did make this particular holster. How long it will last or how long it will work, who knows? But for the time being, this is going to be my holster, and this holds other firearms as well. You just have to read the information on it. But for something temporarily to use in the meantime, this is a pretty good thing to use. As you see, I'm shaking it, and it's staying in there. All right, well, this is going to be the end of my video. Hopefully, I'll be able to come out more with other videos. And thanks for viewing my channel. Happy shooting. Take care, folks. Be safe.